So now I'll just show a couple of examples of inner classes. Basically, we can have a class within a class. Sometimes you want to do this, sometimes usually you don't want to do this. It's very rare that you will see this, but it's good to know that sometimes you can. I mean, in Android that I work with, I've seen it only maybe a couple of times. So maybe you want to have a class as its own separate class, just like, I don't know, maybe a wheel or a motor or something related to vehicles. It can be its own separate class in its own separate file. But we can actually have a class that's within a class as well. We can have public class. Now let's, I don't know, call it wheel or something, maybe something related to the vehicles. And you know, the wheel cannot be used. I mean, it can, because it might also be used in something else. But let's say you always want to reference it with a vehicle, you know, so you will create a wheel within the vehicle class. So now let's do that. And the wheel can have, I don't know, its diameter, so private double diameter. And maybe, I don't know, it doesn't matter what the wheel will have. It's just like a regular class, but it's within this vehicle class. So now, basically, and it can be static. And if it's static, then it's literally behaving completely like it's its own class, but we will just access it by naming the class vehicle.wheel. And this is the only difference. And then we will create a wheel and we will say new vehicle.wheel. So basically now its full name is not vehicle, it's vehicle.wheel. This is if it's a static class, and it's literally behaving 99% the same as if wheel was outside, you know, if wheel was copy pasted into a new file called wheel.java and so on, you know. So maybe the only difference is that the wheel here will be able to access the static methods, I think, of the outer class, you know, public methods and private. So if I do something like create a method here, a public static void do stuff, I can call do something here, you know. This is a good thing even if I make it private. So this is the only difference and the only reason why you might want to have an inner static class rather than just its own separate file. Because, for example, if you have some static methods here or private static fields that you cannot access outside of the class, you know that when you're inside of the class, and we are here inside of the class, this whole class is inside of the other outer class, so it can access even the private stuff. You can see here, this is a private method. It can even access next ID and change it or something. I mean, so should you have a need to, within some class, have something private, you know, some things that you want to not allow public to the world, but you still want to change them within some other class, well, then you create a static inner class, you know, and you use it like this, basically name.wheel. Just the only thing that changes is its name becomes, I mean, this vehicle.wheel rather than just wheel. And it has a little bit more access, basically access to the static what do you call them, static fields and methods, you know, even though they're private. So I can even make this private and still be able to access or change it or read it here or something like that, you know. So whatever we want to do, right? Okay, if that's clear, we can make also class non-static. So now every instance of this class will be tied to one instance of the outer class. And this is seen super rarely, but you can do that as well. And now it's no longer created like this, but now it's created something like vehicle equals new, or we have the vehicle already. So v1.wheel equals, let's name it wheel dot something. The syntax is super weird for this. I don't even remember the syntax. I haven't seen it so much, you know. This is static classes, but the inner class, when it's non-static, I think it's vehicle.new wheel, something like this. Oh, no, it's not. I don't even remember the syntax, to be honest, because I haven't seen this ever. What is it saying here? Cannot resolve symbol wheel. Oh, it imported the wrong thing. Import class vehicle.wheel. God, what was the syntax for creating an inner Java new inner class? Something like that. The syntax is super weird. I don't. Oh, okay. Container.new. Okay, v1.new. Okay. We need to tie it to one particular yeah, this is the syntax actually. So we have to create it and tie it to one particular instance of the wheel class, of the vehicle class, basically. But I've actually never seen this used in any project that I worked on. So I always forget the syntax. This is just for teaching purposes, since again, the difference between a static and non-static is that static, there will only be one instance of the wheel for the whole, for every vehicle class, because it's static, right? And if it's non-static, it's tied to a particular instance of a vehicle. You know, every wheel that we create will be connected to one particular vehicle, you know. So if that's something that we want, this is the syntax that you can use, and this is again very rarely ever used. So now let's check out the thing here. And of course, just like calling anything on this class is literally the same as calling it on a regular class, just the name will contain 2 words rather than just 1 word, you know. The full name will be this dot that, and then like a method or a static variable and so on, you know, a variable or whatever you want to call on that, right? Maybe something else in the presentation, then we'll just move on to practice, you know. And here it just explains what I just said. Static nested classes have literally least reason to be called static. They behave just like regular classes, no restrictions on. They basically behave the same. And maybe a good interview question would be, what's the difference? And the difference would be, you know, if I make this static, I'll just create another one, like I'll call this, I don't know, motor, doesn't matter. And make this one static. I don't know, horsepower, whatever. And here, the only difference between this class being its own class in its own file and being an inner static class is this: it can access the static fields of its outer class, so of the class vehicle, you know. And we can nest classes to infinity. Basically, we can create an inner class inside of an inner class, which is not something I've ever seen going two levels down the branches, you know. I've never seen that. So usually it's only one level of inner classes. Okay, do you guys maybe have some questions up until this point?